Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Rachel Zerin here with a thought for Shabbat. I've been thinking a lot recently about how we define success and failure. I started thinking about this several weeks ago when I was invited to listen to a webinar through JNF and Women for Israel, in which we heard from Rachel Goldberg. Rachel is the mother of Hirsch Goldberg Polin, who was taken captive on October 7th and remains in Gaza. Since that day, Rachel and her husband John have become tireless advocates for her son and for all others who remain in captivity. Rachel spoke to us that day about what the past several months have been like for her, about the tragedy and the impact on her family and others like them, and on what we can do to continue moving forward. Towards the end of this webinar, she shared a critical moment in the past several months that changed the way she faces each and every day. She shared with us that at first she and her husband would go to bed every day after working 20 hours and would say, well, we failed. Because Hirsch is not home, they are not home, so obviously we failed. This, of course, was a horrible way to feel, to get into bed day in and day out after working so many hours and to feel like every single thing they had done led nowhere. But after several months, at one of her speaking engagements, a woman approached her afterward and shared with her that she had been in a similar, though different, situation, and asked her, saying, I want you to know that it's very important that you get into bed at night and you say, have I done every single thing today that I could to help this cause? And then you don't feel like a failure. Rachel said this was the reframing that gave her and her husband the permission to say, we are chipping away. I am convinced, she said, that we are chipping away. And it was this reframing of what success and failure might look at that gives Rachel the resilience and the courage to wake up every day and continue to chip away and to go to bed every night and not feel like a failure. I wonder if Moses felt a similar reframing in this week's parasha. This week we read Parashat Pinchas. A couple weeks ago, Moses was told that he would not be able to enter the land. And although later in Deuteronomy he will complain about this, argue, beg God for permission, beg God to reconsider, in this week's parasha, Moses seems perhaps at peace with this choice. His attention instead is on transferring leadership. Who will lead the people next? And he specifically asks God to find someone and appoint someone who will go out and come back, which our interpreters read as Moses asking to find a leader who can lead them in military victory. I wonder if, in this moment, Moses is reframing what his success might look like. Of course, it would be easy for Moses to think that success would mean bringing people into the land of Israel. But perhaps, in this week's parasha, Moses is able to see that success means bringing people out of the land of Egypt and preparing them to enter the land. Perhaps success means allowing the people to have the leader that they need for the particular stage that they are in. A leader who can lead them out of slavery and through desert wanderings may not be the same as a leader who can lead in military victory. Perhaps in this week's parasha, Moses too is able to reframe what success might look like. And I hope that Moses looks on his life as a success, even if it did not include the parts of his life, like going into the land of Israel, that he might have hoped. I hope for us too that we are able to look back on the past week, past month, as we approach Rosh Hashanah a few months away, perhaps even the past year, and see the successes that we have had too, even if those successes have not necessarily brought us where we thought they might. And with that, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.